I just filmed my whole intro to this video and my microphone wasn't plugged in. Hey, what's up guys, it's Kelly. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to a new reading vlog. This week was intended to be focused on City of Bones. That was my plan. I was going to film my reading diary for my reread of City of Bones. But today, a very exciting parcel arrived in the form of A Court of Silver Flames. Now, I didn't know I was getting this. It wasn't made available for request. I wasn't expecting to get one at all. I was just waiting for our stock to arrive in store and I was going to borrow one of the store copies. And I'm in a WhatsApp group with some local bookstagrammers and someone posted a picture of it and was like, oh my gosh, guys, look what arrived, look what the publisher sent me. And I was like, oh, that's really nice for you. I'm real jealous, but like, it's nice to be you. And then a couple more people started saying, oh, I got one too, mine's just arrived. And I was both like, maybe I am gonna get one. Like, I post about ACOTAR a lot. It would make sense for them to send me one, but also like, I don't want to get my hopes up and then I don't get one. And then like some more time passed and some more time passed. And I was like, maybe I'm not gonna get one. But then it arrived. So I get all my PR packages sent to work, obviously, because like there's no one here during the day. And our receiving clerk knows, like he knows that I get parcels sent to work and he knows kind of what they look like. So he normally just brings it to me. But he brought me this giant box and was like, this had your name on it, but I don't know if it's yours. Can you just check if it's actually yours or if it's something for the store? And I opened it up and there was a gift bag, and inside the gift bag was A Court of Silver Flames. And I was literally just like squealing and like hugging it and generally freaking out and getting some very strange looks from my colleagues, but so happy, and thank you so much to Jonathan Ball for sending this my way because I am thrilled. So it is here and it is beautiful and I am so excited to be reading this. It also, we have a new map. The new map is stunning. New map, we love it. So I'm cozied up in bed. I have a cat down here. I have a couple of Oreos left. I'm burning my Resand candle. Life is good. And now I'm gonna read some Nessian smut. Some of you probably know that I've been kind of on the fence about this book because I really don't like Nesta. Like, I really do not like Nesta. I have not made a secret of that in previous ACOTAR videos. I have not made a secret of that on social media. I do not like Nesta. However, I really love Cassian. So even though I don't like her, I've been wanting to read the book for him. And I think I would be less excited if I hadn't read Tower of Dawn, because what happened with the Throne of Glass series is I read Empire of Storms and then Tower of Dawn came out and I was like, I don't want to read this. I don't want to read a book about Kale. I just want to know what's happening with Aelin. Like, why is this Kale book here? I don't want this. But what ended up happening was I ended up really loving it, and it's actually one of my favorite books from the series. So although I didn't love Kale, I didn't dislike him the way that I dislike Nesta, but like by the end of Tower of Dawn, I liked him so much more. So there is a good chance that I could come out of this liking Nesta, and that even if I don't come out of it liking her, even if I don't enjoy her part of this book at all, like I love Sarah J Maas, I love her writing, I love the way that she creates plots, and I think I'll enjoy this regardless. So I'm just pushing aside my hatred of Nesta and going into it with positive feelings. I'm also definitely intrigued by like the political ramifications and like the political side of what's going to happen in this book. I know A Court of Frost and Starlight was very divisive. Some people hated it, some people loved it. I loved it. But if you can look past the fact that Rhys and Feyre just wanted to have sex all the time, like if you can look past the flying through the air sex and the in each other's mind sex, there was a lot of world building, like there was a lot of groundwork laid in that book, even though there was zero plot. And the one thing that I came out of that book with was so much excitement for like where the political structure of the story is going to go in the later books. So on the whole, I'm just very excited for this, and I'm going to start reading. So I'm 197 pages in, which is not quite a third. It's like maybe 100 pages shy of a third of the way through the book. And I love it so much. Nesta's growing on me a bit, but like, she was just such a bitch. Like, oh. Okay, so I understand that she has severe mental health issues, and like, understandably so, right? But having said mental health issues does not give you a free pass to just be horrible to everyone in your life, including people who are trying to help you. And like, yes, it can cause outbursts. It could be the reason that you like lash out at people or whatever, but you still have to own that and take responsibility for that. And she just does not do that. Like, it's finally starting to work. Like, she's finally starting to realize, hey, I'm a terrible person. And she's like slowly opening up and being worn down. But like, what frustrates me about her is that she seems to not at this point. Okay, we're going like to her behavior in A Court of Frost and Starlight and right at the beginning of this book, but like, she does seem to not want to get better. She'll consciously be horrible to people, and she has no desire to like not be a horrible person to everyone all the time. And to, I don't know how to explain it, because the way that she's described in this book just obviously adds a lot more like complexity to her character. But just basically the crux of what I'm saying is, it has always frustrated me that she just feels like she can say and do whatever she wants, and that then like she can be a bitch, but if someone is horrible back to her, then like they're a terrible person. And it just I can't. And then a Nesta apologist over on Twitter, Instagram, was complaining about the fact that Rhys and Feyre are like obscenely rich, to the point where he just closed down a lingerie store for the day because he wanted to get laid. And like, that is very true. But then she was like, oh, they're so obscenely rich, but like they don't want her spending their money. Like, that's not the point. It doesn't matter how much money you have. You shouldn't be expected to bankroll your family members' self-destruction. So she was making absolutely no effort to support herself or to take any sort of responsibility for her life. She was just expecting her sister to look after her, as she has done her whole life. And like, it does not matter how rich her sister is. That is not her responsibility. Nesta is a grown-ass woman who needs to take responsibility for herself. So anyway, that's why she's being sent to train with Cassian. That's why she's being sent to work in the library. And like, it's finally working. It's finally wearing her down. She's finally realizing what a colossal bitch she has been for this whole period. That's not fair. You can definitely see in moments that she knows she's being a bitch, she just doesn't care. So she's finally starting to care that she's been a bitch and that she's been pushing everyone in her life away, even the people that are very clearly trying to help her. We're finally seeing some growth there, which is good. Cassian, oh, my sweet, precious little cinnamon roll. I love him so much. And I don't ship Nessian. I don't, but I'm going to by the end of this book, aren't I? He's too good for her. He's putting all of this work into helping her get better, and she does not deserve it. But I know that by the end of this book, when she is a better person, then I'm going to be like, oh, actually, they are great together. I know it's going to happen, because if Sarah J Maas says, I wish you to ship this ship, I will ship that ship. I will go down with that ship. Lots of complex, conflicting feelings at the moment. Just a lot of feelings all around. So far, 197 pages in, not really anything in the way of romance, because they're only like, well, no, Cassian, let's be honest, has always been quite honest with himself about how he feels about her, but Nesta's finally starting to be like, oh yes, actually, I have been in love with this man, because, you know, I threw myself over him on a battlefield in order to protect him from dying. So like, she's finally starting to wake up to that. So we're finally starting to see like the first inklings of romance, and there's There's been some banter, which has been fun. Also, the one aspect of like the Nesta bits that I'm really enjoying is she's staying in the House of Wind because Rhys and Feyre, as I said, like, did I say Rhys and Feyre had cut her off? So they've taken away her apartment and she's having to stay in the House of Wind while she trains with Cassian and while she works in the library. And she and the house, I'm loving their relationship. She talks to the house and the house is actively trying to make her a better person as well. The house will just refuse to feed her. She'll go into her room and be like, I would like dinner now, please. And the house will be like, nope, and open her door and be like, you go have dinner with Cassian. Or like it provides her with smutty romance novels to read. She'll come in after a hard day in the library and there'll be 2 romance novels stuck on her desk. And it's actually quite sweet. It's very sad that the only pleasant relationship she can have is with a building. But honestly, those are the moments with her that I'm enjoying the most. I'm really enjoying the training sequences as well. There's definitely a lot of sexual tension growing there. I think it's going to go one of 2 ways. Either we're going to have a very I think when they finally hook up, it's either going to be something quite tender, and it'll be, I don't know, one of them checking on each other in the middle of the night and crawling into bed and it just being quite sweet, or it's going to happen in the heat of a training session. So yeah, at the moment I just have lots of theories and lots of excitement. Also, there has been a bit of an overuse of the word veritably, and I don't know why, but it has upset me. Also, I loved that we got to see Rhys and Feyre's new house. It is beautifully described. I am a big fan. I'm liking that we're seeing some of Morrigan as well. I mean, I adore her and I love her relationship with Cassian. So, love that we're seeing her. Wish we would have a bit more Azriel. I mean, I obviously wish that there was more of Rhysand and Feyre, but also I knew going into it that there wasn't going to be that much because she has pretty much said, their story's over and the next couple of books are going to be focusing on other characters and telling other character stories. So I knew that they weren't going to have, huge roles to play, but I love them and I would like to see more of them. So I'm hoping that there'll be a little more of them later on in the book. Or actually, I think also the thing that's annoying me is, not annoying me, but the thing that is making me sad is we've had a fair amount of scenes of Rhys and Cassian, which I've loved because I love their relationship, and we've had a couple of scenes of Feyre and Cassian, which I also love because I love their relationship. But I also would just like to see Feyre and Rhys together, and we've only really had one scene of the 2 of them together and they were fighting. So yeah, wish there was a little more of them, but also knew that wasn't going to happen. But just, where is Azriel? I wish that there was more of him, but still, it's early days. As I said, I'm not even halfway through the book, so still some room for lots more of him. Also, the one person that we have seen a fair amount of, considering he is, or has been up until this point, quite a minor character, is Eris. And while I wouldn't say I like him, I've always found him to be a very interesting character, and especially after the events of A Court of Frost and Starlight, I was very interested to see where he was going to go and how his relationship with them is going to evolve and kind of what role he's going to play in their future. So I've really been enjoying, we've had 2 scenes with him so far, and I really like those because I feel like he is going to be a very, very important character going forward, and I'm excited to see what happens there. So on the whole, yeah, this has just been a babble of me getting lots of feelings out, but I'm loving it so much. The writing, as always, is amazing. She's developing these characters so well. These are characters that we already know quite well, but they're just being developed even further, and it's just so good. So, have my tea, I'm gonna light my Rhysand candle again, and I'm gonna read my book, and I will update you guys again tomorrow night. We have a kiss. The kiss turned into a hand job, which ended badly. And bad things are happening. Can't. I don't like miscommunication as a trope. I don't like it. He is obviously in shock. And she's just like, oh, obviously he hates me. No. He's just in shock because you kissed him and then gave him a hand job, but you've spent the last 2 weeks, last year, acting like you hate him. He's allowed to be shook. Stop being so horrible. Look who decided to grow claws after all, she crooned. Maybe you'll become interesting at last, Elaine. Like, harsh, but true. Hello, so I am 360 pages in, which is just shy of the halfway mark. Or actually, it's pretty close to halfway. And, some shit is currently going down, but I also want to backtrack and just chat about some of the things that I read since I last updated you. First of all, the phrase, "I owe you a debt," will now never not be sexy. I will forever associate that phrase with Cassian. It will now forever take my mind bad places. Good places, but bad places. There's just a funny thing, but I told Alan that there was, like, I could sense that there was a steamy scene coming, and he was like, no, I always know when there's a steamy scene coming because you look really annoyed. You glare at your book when you're reading smut. Which just, I mean, is not something that you guys need to know, but it just made me laugh and I wanted to share it. Also, can we just, the scene where Cassian went down on her, the consent, he asked for consent twice. Like, he stayed across the room from her until she said, like, yes, I want this. He then also, before he actually went down on her, waited for her to say yes, and just, consent is so sexy. We stan a man who asks for consent in this house. And even, like, just in non-sexy moments as well, like I was picking up on the consent theme because of that scene, but like a few scenes later he goes down to the library and like he asks permission to enter the library. Even though he's been down there a million times before, he knows really that he is allowed down there. He still was like, I'm gonna make sure that you guys are happy with me entering the space that is supposed to be like your safe space where you can be free of like males, be free of males, basically. And then in that same scene, like Nesta's is throwing a punch and her form's off, and like even despite everything that they have done up until this point, he asks for permission before he even just touches her elbow, and I'm just like, oh, we love consent and we love Cassian. But going back to sexy times, so remember how Sarah J Maas said that this was going to be like the filthiest book that she'd written yet? And I don't know about all of you, but I was like, unless she's going to whip out like some bondage shit and we're going to see like some weird kinks coming out, I don't really see how things can become more explicit than they have been. But like, homegirl upped the ante. I haven't even had like a penetrative sex scene yet. It's all been like, there was a masturbation scene and there were the 2 oral scenes. Like, that's all I've read so far. And it's like so much filthier than, you know, face and fucking in the sky. I'm here for it, but like, also, you know, she said that there was a threesome scene that got cut. I saw many theories about who the threesome scene was between. There were some people theorizing that it was Cassian, Nesta and Azriel, some people theorizing it was Cassian, Nesta and Helion, and I mean, I think we pretty much were all sure it was going to be Cassian, Nesta and someone, right? So I don't know if I believe that it was like a Cassian, Nesta, Azriel scene, because I don't know, to me, like, I don't see Azriel necessarily being opposed to a threesome, but I don't see him wanting to be in a threesome that included Nesta. especially considering his feelings for Elaine. I feel like it would have made things messy and complicated. But there is that scene where Nesta like very graphically describes how she would imagine a threesome between the three of them, and I was just like, you didn't even need to cut the scene, because honestly I felt like that little daydream about what it would be like was like as filthy as a full-blown scene would have been. I just want to show you guys how much of this book I have tabbed. Can you see? Like, I'm tabbing so much. Obviously the pink is romance, lots of that. I think orange is descriptions of like places, I think even people in some cases. Yellow is like political stuff that I think I might want to refer back to, and blue is anything that's like magic based or lore based, because we're doing a lot of delving into like the history of the Fae and kind of wild Fae, or wild fairies rather, that kind of roamed the land before the High Fae like settled and, can I say civilized things? I don't know, that sounds a lot like I'm putting a spin on like colonization. But like before the High Fae settled there and started dividing it up into courts and stuff. And I'm just finding all of the world building so fascinating. Like, she's already done so much with regard to this world. She's already opened it up so much, and it keeps getting more expansive. She keeps adding new places. She keeps upping the political intrigue. She keeps giving us like new history to learn about and new magical items to learn about. Like, we've learned about the Trove of the Dead, or the Trove of the Dread Trove. We're learning about the Dread Trove, and like Nesta's busy searching for the Dread Trove items. The one thing that was kind of frustrating me is that everything is like one step forward, two steps back. So they'll finally make some progress in their relationship, but like when she kissed him, but then he looked shocked, so she was like, oh well, obviously he doesn't feel this way about me, and then just avoided him for a few days, when like, no, he was just shocked that he kissed you. So there's like, something will actually happen, but then there'll be some sort of miscommunication or misunderstanding that'll set them back even further than they were before, and it's just frustrating. I don't like it. And now they're doing this, like, they agreed to, you know, sex with no strings attached, and I'm just like, you both have feelings for each other. Why are you doing this? Why are you making things so difficult for yourselves? Just admit you have feelings for each other. Can one of you stop being so proud and just be a little bit vulnerable, and all of this could stop being a problem. I do think though that I'm kind of at a turning point with them relationship wise, because I have just passed, they've gone into the middle, which is that area of like no man's land where Under the Mountain is. You know, Nesta was scrying and like completely froze over, and then Cassian brought her out of it by kissing her, and now they've gone into the middle, and he was like very protective of her, and now, but then Azriel got injured, and now he's gone to save Azriel, and she's now gone to save him, and that's where I am. I'm in the middle of the scene where she's just like jumped out of a tree and is trying to race after him. So I'm hoping that this is finally going to be the turning point where they're like, okay, yes, we're risking our lives for each other. We do actually love each other. Let's stop pretending that we don't. Let's stop having drama. There is enough other drama going on in this universe. We don't need the relationship drama as well. I just want some like top tier romance. I just want some good smut. I just want some vulnerability, some tenderness, some love, without all the unnecessary angst, because the angst can come from other places. I'm halfway through the book. I just want them to be happy now. The more I've been thinking about this, the more I'm like, Nesta and Cassian are like, if your friend was dating someone that you really didn't like, but they were really happy, you're happy for them because you want them to be happy, but also you really don't want to hang out with their partner. Personally, I've never experienced this, but that's how I would imagine that scenario to go. she does make him like genuinely happy, and at this point they're still being really annoying and like not admitting that they actually have feelings for each other, even though they are admitting that they have feelings for each other and they just won't admit it in so many words, and just the whole thing is very frustrating. But so at the moment they're still being stupid, but like they do genuinely make each other very happy, and as much as I do not like her, I can appreciate that she is making him happy because he deserves to be happy. Do I think that he deserves better? Yes. Do I still not like her? Also yes. But can I live with it? And can I still enjoy reading about their relationship? Also yes. Then I just wanted to touch on like the other characters. One, Asriel is amazing. He is offering so much comic relief, and it just brings me so much joy every time he's on the page. Not every time, like a good, I'd say 40% of the time that he's on the page, he just offers amazing comic relief. I mean, he makes me happy 100% of the time, but yeah. He's just had so many great lines and so many great moments. Elaine has barely been in the book, but every moment that she has been in the book, I'm liking her a lot more because she's actually growing a backbone. Like, I've never liked her. I've never hated her the way that I hate Nesta, but I've never liked her. But yeah, she's growing a spine, and I appreciate that. Amren also has like barely been in it, and when she's been in it, she's been Amren, so nothing really to say there. Same thing with Morrigan, although at the point I'm at now, she is kind of starting to warm to Nesta, I guess. She told her to call her more instead of Morrigan, so like I figure that's a good sign. Although, also, Emery, the Illyrian shopkeeper that we met in Akafas, who's become one of Nesta's close friends in this, is definitely keen on Morrigan, and I mean, I wasn't expecting that, but I'm here for it. If she's going to be Morrigan's love interest, I can deal with that. I'm like 95% sure we're getting a Morrigan book, right? We have to be, otherwise I will be severely upset, so I could be happy with her being the potential love interest there. Feyre is also much the same as she always is, but the person that made me think I wanted to give this update about other characters was Rhysand, because I saw someone saying that they don't think they like Rhys as a side character on Twitter, and I guess I kind of get it, but I feel like it just speaks to the person that he is, but kind of the perception that so much of the fandom has built up of him in our minds. So many people are just like, oh, Rhys is like so sweet and like a cinnamon roll, and like, yeah, he can be. He's unbelievably kind and can be so gentle and has this amazing emotional vulnerability, and he can also turn entire armies to mist with a flick of his hand, and he can also torture people and not care. So as much as he is incredibly kind and gentle and just wonderful, if you're on his good side, like there can be real cruelty there if you're on his bad side. And the fact that one of our two main characters in this book is Nesta, obviously that's going to come out, because not only does he not like her, he doesn't like her because she's been exceptionally cruel to the thing that matters most to him in the world. Like, if there is a whisper of a threat near Feyre, he will exterminate it. Honestly, the only reason that he, I'm sure, hasn't just misted Nesta for being annoying is the fact that she's Feyre's sister. Like, if anyone else spoke to Feyre the way that she does, he genuinely, I'm sure, would have murdered them. So I've really been enjoying him, but I think that's because I, as much as I enjoy all of the good parts of him, also enjoy the balance of the bad sides of him. And I think that we've always seen him from Feyre's point of view. So we've always seen him in a very like well-rounded way, because we've seen the face that he puts on to other people, and then we've also seen the face that he wears with her. Whereas now you're only seeing the face that he puts on with other people, because also, I mean, Cassian's the other main character, but there haven't actually been that many kind of one-on-one scenes with the two of them. So, and even then, he's been quite, like, business-minded in those moments. So we're not getting to see that full, like, roundedness of his character that we're so used to seeing. We're mostly getting to see him either in business mode or in very protective mode. And I am loving it. Every time he's on the page, I just die a little bit inside. And there have been so many moments where I'm just like, this is why I love you. But I guess I can kind of understand why people wouldn't like him as a secondary character, but also I don't think that he's being characterized in any way differently to the way that he normally is. I think that this is pure him. It's just people's perception of him can be so different to how he actually is. There was a ramble no one needed. I also just wanted to talk about the hike that Nesta and Cassian did, and how I know it was supposed to be like this major turning point in the book, and I just felt nothing. So she has this whole like epiphany about why she's been feeling the way that she has and why she's been such a terrible person. I'm guessing that's the moment that people like me who don't like Nesta are supposed to be like, oh wow, shame, she's like this because she's been through all this stuff. And I was just like, this is fine. I always knew that this was why she was like this. I was never under any misapprehensions about her motivations or about what caused her to be the way that she was. I've always understood Nesta 100%. I just don't think that any of those things are an excuse for the way that she acts. Like, I'm hating her less because she's learning from her mistakes and she's learning to be a better person. But, like, I'm not hating her less because I suddenly understand her and it makes everything that she's done okay. It doesn't. I've always understood her and it's never made anything that she's done okay. It's made it understandable, but it has not made it excusable. Oh, and I have a theory, okay? Because this is Sarah J Maas. Like, I think we've always known that Nesta and Cassian probably are mates, right? Because this is Sarah J Maas. I'm pretty sure she's not about to write us a fake couple that are not mates. It wouldn't be her. One of the things that I saw as like a little hint that the mating bond is coming is when Helion comes to the palace and is helping them set up the wards around the mask, he pricks Nesta's finger, someone pricks Nesta's finger to get a drop of her blood so that the spell can be keyed to her blood so that she's the only person that would be able to undo the wards. And Cassian has to like physically restrain himself from rushing towards her from a pinprick, just like a pinprick of blood, and he is dying with how much he wants to protect her from it. And I know that females are just overprotective, like that's kind of their thing, that's their entire personality, but it seemed excessive unless there's something deeper that is causing that overprotectiveness. Anyway, I might be completely off the mark, but I saw that as a hint for the possible mating bond. Anyway, now we're at the Winter Solstice Ball, where they're getting Nesta to seduce Eris to try to, like, maintain his alliance. And I feel like something bad's going to happen. Like, this is going to be the moment that Brylan attacks or something. Either some really bad shit's going to go down, or this is going to be the moment that Nesta and Cassian finally stop being such idiots and just admit that they have real feelings that go beyond sex. Interested to see where this is going to go. I am quite close to the end. I have 260 pages left, so I feel like there has to still be some kind of big action sequence. The rest of this book can't not reach some sort of dramatic climax, but we'll see. If the rest of it is just, you know, them being cute, I can deal with that. Okay, I was wrong. Nothing happened the night of the solstice ball, but the solstice party? Yes. This golden thread tying them together. Mates, I tell you, mates. This is the mating bond. Also, my friend Kayla is just like rage DMing me on Instagram. She's a few chapters behind me and she's just sending me all of this rage about Nesta, which I am responding to completely in kind, and I'm having such a good time. It's distracting me from reading, which is bad because I need to finish this book tonight so I can film my review tomorrow, but like, she has so much anger and I'm having such a good time. Also, I work in a bookstore, as you all know, and someone came in today and asked if we had a quarter silver flame. She actually asked one of my colleagues, and I did the very annoying thing that, you know, we all hate when someone else does. And I was like, oh, yes, we do, and just, you know, busted in and took over. So I took her to it and I handed one to her. And I was like, it's so good. I'm enjoying it so much. I don't even like Nesta and I'm loving it. And she was shocked. She was like, what? You don't like Nesta? I love Nesta. Shame. She was really sweet. But yeah, I don't know why I'm telling you guys this, but it was fun. I got to help a customer who wanted the book, and that was great. She was so sweet, and like you could tell that she was so happy, and it made me so happy. And talking about her like she's a little child, she was probably like 17. I hope she was about 17, considering the content of this book. I mean, I know they've all been smutty, but like the smut in this is next level. It is real good. It's not better. Like, I don't like it more than the smut in, say, Akamath, but it's steamier, and it's definitely dirtier. But, like, Reese and Farah, even when they're being like animals, there's just, like, the emotions, the emotional connection, and I love them so much, and so there's, like, the emotional aspect to it with Reese and Farah for me, whereas with this, for me, it's just, like, pure filth. So I don't like love it as much as I love Face and Smut, but it is definitely steamier. It's definitely dirtier, and is good. Is good. They're mates. They're mates. I was right. And then, just as they established that fact, just as they were about to move forward again, they had to go and fuck it up. And now the three girls are in the blood right, and like obviously they're gonna win, right? Not a chance in hell is Nesta going to die. It's not gonna happen. And just for the sake of like feminism, I'm assuming they're going to reach the top of Ramiel, but I can't. Also, based on how much longer I have, based on how much I have left of the book, the three of them are currently in the blood right, and Azriel and Cassian have gone to try to rescue Iris from Briarlyn. I'm assuming that that's going to be like the main climax of the book, is just Iris's rescue and the blood right, and that this is just going to be setting up for like the bigger war at large with Briarlyn. So I'm definitely interested to see how the rest of the book goes. I think I got a spoiler. Someone in a review said something about a Nyx, seeing Nyx grow up, which I can only assume is going to be Farah and Reese's child. So love that for me. Know that the baby's going to be... I knew the baby was going to be born fine. Like, obviously Farah wasn't going to die, especially with this potential for her and Reese to become the High Lord and Lady of Prithian. Like, I knew she wasn't going to die, but I'm still low-key annoyed that I got the spoiler that the baby is definitely being born in this book. Like, so anyway, I know that there's going to be lots more bloodshed and lots more pain, but then I'm assuming that the book's going to end on a happy note, and then we're going to have to wait another 2 years to see the next part of the story, and I love that so much. Remember when she used to bring out 2 books a year? What a time to be alive. So I finished it last night. It was amazing. I loved it so much. So the last 100 pages or so actually weren't as intense as I expected them to be. Like, I expected the blood right to be a lot more. I kind of felt like it was too easy for them. I was kind of expecting more from the blood right, all things considered. Maybe that was supposed to be the point. Maybe it was supposed to look easy for them because they're such fearsome warriors. I don't know. But yeah, I felt like it was a little easy for them. However, I really liked that Gwyn and Emery reached the top and that Nesta didn't. I felt like it was a nice compromise of showing how far they've come and showing like how strong they are and that they are these amazingly skilled warriors without it just being like too neatly perfect. I don't really know if I can like form the words for that, but it felt somehow more realistic to me than if all three of them had like made it to the top and everything was all good. And then there was a little bit of a roller coaster with the whole like Eris side plot, because he was captured by Brylin, obviously, and then Cassian and Azriel went to scout it out, and then it looked like he was like in league with her, and my annotation there in the book was like, traitor or just a trick, because I just didn't believe that he would have betrayed them at this point in the game. Like it didn't make sense to me, so I was like, this has to be a trick. And then it was a trick, and I was glad that I was right. Just, to me, he's been the most interesting plotline happening for a while, and I genuinely do think that he's decent. I think that there are a lot of parallels between him and Rhys, and that deep down he actually wants to be a decent guy, but he has to show the world this face of like cruelty and scheming and politics. And to a point, I think that's definitely part of him, but also I think it's just a product of like where he grew up and the family that he had, and that genuinely, given the opportunity, he would be a decent person. And that's what he's trying to do in allying with the Night Court. So I'm so interested to see where his character's going to go. I really would like to see more of him going forward. Like, if we're not going to get more Rhys and Feyre, let me get more of him, because I genuinely am like interested to see what's going to happen there. Psst, psst, Azriel, please. My cat's busy having a meltdown and I don't know why. So now obviously the threat of Brylin has been exterminated. I'm assuming that going forward, Crochet is going to be our kind of main antagonist. What happened to the days when Sarah J Maas provided a pronunciation guide in the back of her books? Because we could be using that right about now. And I definitely am assuming that there's going to be a war where courts are going to turn on each other. Like, as long as Beren is in charge of the Autumn Court, there is going to be, like, something's going to happen there. Also, this whole thing of the potential of, like, the High King and Queen of Prythian. Sarah J Maas is much like Taylor Swift. Nothing is accidental. Like, we've had 4 books of hearing nothing about this. I don't think she would have brought it up at this point if it wasn't something that was on the cards. I can definitely see them not wanting it, like Rhys says in this book. He does not want it, and I can see that and I can understand that. But I can also see a situation happening where they feel forced to do it, where they feel like, because if, with those two, if they genuinely believe that it is the best thing for Prythian, they will do it. I'm expecting that to happen at some point, because I don't think she would have mentioned it at this point in the series if it wasn't going to happen. So Nesta, now that she's done all of her healing, seems to have fully shaken off being a horrible person. I'm just really hoping that it is a permanent change and this is not going to be a Sharpay and High School Musical type situation where she keeps going back to being awful and then becomes good again and then goes back. I'm not going to be able to deal with that. This needs to be a permanent change. At the point I am now, I'm like, she's there and that's fine, and I don't love her. I don't think I will ever love her. I don't think I'll ever be a Nesta fan, but like, I don't mind her being around. I knew this was going to happen. Like, Sarah J Maas can tell me anything. She can tell me to like anyone and I will obey, but I don't love her and I will never love her, I don't think. But at least now she has become someone worthy of Cassian in some way, even if I don't like them together. I like that she makes him happy, and like, all he's ever wanted is a mate. He looks at Rhys and Feyre and like, that's all he wants, is that love and that commitment, and like, he's finally got it and he's happy, and that's really all I want. I'm so excited to see Nyx grow up. Like, I know we're not getting a lot of Rhys and Feyre, and we're definitely not getting them in the way that I like to get them, but also that child is going to be so spoiled by everyone in that family. And regardless of whether the next book is Asriel's or Morrigan's, I think that we'll see a lot of Nyx. Like, from Asriel and Cassian, we're gonna have, I think, lots of great, like, training scenes of, like, teaching him to fly and teaching him to fight. And from Morrigan, I'm assuming we're gonna get lots of just, like, her lavishing him with gifts. And also probably her, like, teaching him how to treat a woman and, like, how to just be the best man he can possibly be. And I'm ready for all of it. Honestly, what I would like from Sarah J Maas, and I don't think this is too much to ask, is when she finishes a series, so like when she finished Throne of Glass, she could have done this, and when she finishes ACOTAR finally, I would like her to do this. It's just like 1,000-page fluff fic, and it doesn't even need to be focused on one person. Like, would I read 1,000 pages of Faysand domestic fluff? Yes, but it doesn't even need to be. It can be like 200 pages of Faysand, 200 pages of Nessian, 200 pages of Emigan, Morimri. I don't know. I'm just assuming that Emery's going to be Morrigan's love interest, and of Asriel. And honestly, I have no idea where that storyline's going to go. Either he is going to get with Elaine, or I was getting vibes between him and Gwyn, and like, she's so strong, she's becoming so strong, and I can definitely see a situation in which she feels ready to, like, fall in love and to be with a man again and trust a man and be safe with a man. And Asriel could be that man because he's, like, so respectful and so tender and so gentle that I can't imagine someone who's been through what she's been through being in better hands. And also, I don't like Elaine and Asriel. I don't want it to happen. And it's also the fact that, like, I know I shouldn't believe in the mating bond because it's not always the right thing. So, like, Rhys's parents, the mating bond made a mistake there, but I want to believe in the power of the mating bond. I want to believe that if someone is your mate, it's because they're meant for you. And I genuinely believe that if Elaine gave Lucien a chance, they could be happy together. Like, when Nesta and Cassian have that big blow up about them being mates, and she's like, I said I would be with you forever, like, that, how is that not enough for you? And he's like, I just want you to say the word. And she says no, because with that the last shred of my humanity's gone. And I do wonder if that's how Elaine feels about Lucien, because she hasn't spent enough time with him to decide that she doesn't like him. I think it is mostly just that she had just had this absolutely traumatizing experience where her humanity was ripped away from her. Her life and everything that she knew in her life was ripped away from her in a second. And then she crawled out of this cauldron, and this Fae male who was part of the reason that she was there and part of the reason that her life had been stripped away from her goes, oh, you're my mate. Like, I'm claiming you as my partner for the rest of my life. I can imagine, one, how terrifying that must have been, and also I can understand why you wouldn't automatically be like, oh yes, let me bind myself to this person that I know nothing about, and like, I'm just coming to terms with losing my humanity, and now this is like the final straw, would be to give in to the mating bond. But genuinely, I think that if she gave it a chance, and if she spent some time with him, and if she allowed herself to open up to him, I think that they could be a really good match. I'm still kind of holding out hope that Elaine and Lucien are going to become a thing, so that Elaine and Asriel don't become a thing, and then Asriel can be with someone else. I mean, he is a piner. He's been pining after Morrigan for the last 500 years. So we'll see what happens with all those things, with all my theories. Also, we love that Nesta just, like, completely reshaped her and Feyre's pelvic cavities so that they could bear Illyrian children safely. We love that. So on the whole, just a very, very big fan of the book. I loved it. It's not my favourite. It's probably at number 4. It probably is, like, just above A Court of Wings and Ruin, which I loved, but, like, low-key had some boring parts. Too much war, too much politics, not enough sex. So yeah, definitely not a favourite, but, like, I obviously loved it. So on the whole, loved it. It was brilliant. Gave it 5 stars. Very excited for the next one. More excited for the next one than I was for this one, to be honest. But, you know, that is the beauty of Sarah J Maas. That is the skill of Sarah J Maas. She can take a character that I don't particularly like and I will still lap up 800 pages of them just because I'm a hoe for whatever she will give me. So thank you very much for listening to me ramble along a blow-by-blow account of everything that happened in this book. I very much hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, then please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you aren't already. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts on A Court of Silver Flames were. If you've read it, I'm assuming you've read it, because if you haven't read it because you're not interested, not a fuck would you have just watched this video, which I'm assuming is going to be like an hour long. And if you haven't read it but are interested in reading it, then you've just spoiled yourself massively, so like that would have been dumb. So let me know what you thought, what your favourite moments were, who your favourite characters were, what your favourite quotes were, because I owe you a debt to be tattooed over my entire body. And also let me know what other books you would like me to do this for. I am thinking of making this more of like my standard vlog format and doing more reading diaries rather than like weekly vlogs. If you find yourself enjoying this video, then please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you aren't already. In the description, you'll find links to all of my social media. That's my Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Goodreads, as well as my blog. You'll also find links to my Redbubble store, my Patreon, my Coffee account, and my online store if you'd like to support me on any of those, as well as my Black Walls affiliate link and a link to purchase A Court of Silver Flames through that. But that is it for me today, and I shall see you all again very soon. Bye!
My life is grounded in a